Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
With your host, Brandon Tierney. In 3, 2, 1.
Oh, I know everybody's worked up over the Yankees. Yankees stink. Everybody relax about the Yankees. Please just relax. What's going on, everybody? BT Unleashed in the house on this Tuesday. Let's go. J-Rod is here. We got a big show for you, a little housekeeping before we jump into it. A lot of Yankees, a little Mets, a little Pistons, Cavs, a lot of NFL schedule stuff, and something on LeBron as well. Now, tomorrow, first up, Yankees manager Aaron Boone will come by tomorrow. It's going to be a blast at 10:30. Well, I hope it's a blast. I know he's coming by. Maybe I shouldn't say it's going to be a blast. I mean, can you bag a win before Booney comes on the show? I mean, come on, man. I mean, listen, Boone's going to answer the questions no matter what, whether they win 5 straight or they lose 5 straight. But can you mix in a W so he's not ornery Boone? That is tomorrow. Can't wait for that. So we'll do a little early state of the Yankees, kind of like I did with Michael Kay about a week or a week and a half or so ago. Only we'll do this with the Yankees manager. So that's tomorrow. And then Thursday, obviously the NFL schedule is going to drop, and we'll do this on the Jets Collective. As soon as it goes live, we will jump right on YouTube, of course, myself and Jake and Rich Samini, and we'll break it all down. And, listen, do they open up in Tennessee? I don't know. That's kind of the conventional thought, but either way, we will get into the Jet schedule. We're not going to necessarily do the old Mike and Chris thing, win, loss, win, but we'll just kind of spin you around and give you our initial reactions to it, the good matchups, whatever is prime time. I don't know how many primetime games they will get. My hope is that it's not many because, like I've always said, when my team is, I do think the Jets will be better this year. Geez, if they're not better this year, then it's probably hopeless. But, when my team is building, when my team is trying to rise from the dead, I prefer to do it in anonymity. Let's just get, 1 o'clock. We don't need Jim Nance and Romo. Give us the C team. Give us the D team. Let us just find our way when most of the NFL world is not watching. So we got a lot of great things coming up on the show. Hopefully everybody's having a great day. J-Rod, what's cooking, brother? How are you today?
Good. How are you today?
I'm good, man. I'm fired up. I'm feeling
I gotta
good.
say, I know we'll get to it later, but I gotta say, I was off with my Pistons Cavs prediction yesterday.
Told you.
I was way off.
I told you.
I called the Harden game, I guess, the next game, but now, listen, the rest of my series prediction is absolutely scrambled.
I mean, listen, these predictions are worth a dime a dozen. What do they really mean at the end of the day? But it does obviously help out the Knicks, so we'll get to that a little bit later. Rough night for Cade Cunningham. I thought what the Cavs were doing defensively, trapping him, giving up the ball. He was sloppy. He's had some high turnover games. Last night was another one, and he didn't shoot the ball well, so we'll get to that. All right, let's start with the Yankees here. I mean, listen, guys. So when you don't hit and you squander leads like they did over the weekend, certainly last night with Ryan Weathers and the gem that Cam Schlittler threw in Milwaukee, when you squander leads like that and you don't hit, it really just looks bad. I mean, let's face it, the Yankees would have lost 6-5 last night. Not that you'd be thrilled with the loss there, but when you're not hitting, I mean, really, outside of Ben Rice's 2-run bomb the other way, nice to have Benny Ballgame back in the house as well. It's just going to seem a little worse than it really is. Listen, I'm not worried about the Yankees. Yankees have a couple of things that they obviously need to rectify and things that we need to get into. But, I mean, it's a little bit early. It's a little bit early for everybody to start striking up the same old Yankees. Yankees don't have it. Yankees aren't going to get anything done. I don't believe that. I believe that this Yankees pitching rotation is going to be the best in baseball. Now, when Cole and Rodon come back, I should say when Cole comes back, I don't know what the bullpen's going to look like. They're going to have to obviously mess around with that. If you asked me, and this is one of the reasons for my optimism here coming into the season, although to be fair, once the season started, I got to look at Weathers, and I knew that Cam Schlittler wasn't going to go through a sophomore slump. I elevated even, what I thought the Yankees could be, and I didn't love the Yankees lineup. You knew that, right? But see, what you see now is not what you're going to see in October. It's just not. I believe when it's all, and I'll ask Boone this tomorrow. I don't know what he'll say, but I'll ask him. I think when all's said and done, I think that Bednar is going to be the setup man for this team. And I do. I think that that's going to happen. I don't like him as the closer. He's fine, but you can't be fine if you're trying to win a championship, okay? And I'm not saying he's the main issue, but you need more lockdown there on the back end. And Bednar just walks that tightrope too much. You watch him, I watch him. We know the deal with Bednar. He's fine. And sometimes he's really good. I think he'd be great as a setup man. So listen, I don't know. I actually tweeted something yesterday about Weathers. I'm like, maybe this guy who has not been a consistent strike thrower. He had injuries in Miami, and he didn't always pound the zone. Now he's pounding the zone now, and he's healthy as well. Knock on wood. Would the Yankees look at Weathers as a possible closer option? I don't know. Clark Schmidt will be back by the end of the season. And then obviously, whether it's a Will Warren going to the bullpen or whatever it might be, some sort of variation is going to, I think, fairly radically change the back end of the Yankee bullpen. And I also think the Yankees will go out and get an electric Kyle Leverage arm. So listen, I understand that last night was you got a no-hitter. You sit down, I come back from my son and my daughter's game. I'm like, wow, I'm listening to the game on the radio a little bit. And I knew that Rice hit the 2-run bomb. And I'm like, I got a no-no here. And of course, as soon as I sit down, basically you get the base hit the other way. But that's a game you got to win, obviously. Yankees are dragging their feet a little bit here. But it just big picture, it's so predictable. You just knew that this was coming. You kind of sensed it a little bit over the weekend, from some of the Yankee fans. And that's fine. I'm not calling you guys out because the Yankees have not won since 2009. Understood. So there's a lot of angst and there's a lot of energy and there's a lot of frustration that this team's been built the same way. I don't think it's the same team. Now, we still have a lot of baseball to go. And, I don't know what's going to happen with Volpe. I don't know what's going to happen with Caballero. I don't know what's going to happen with Lombard, who's hitting into some very bad luck in the minors. He's absolutely stinging the ball. And, you lift up the hood, underneath the hood, the numbers are really good. I'm not talking about batting average and stuff, but like expected batting average and expected OPS, balls in play. Like he's been penalized. He's hit a lot of rockets at people, and I'm fine with that. And that Lombard could come up tonight and handle second base, shortstop, or third base defensively. I don't know if he's going to be on the Yankees this year at some point. I believe that he will, but I don't know that for sure. You got to earn it. You don't want to rush him. But there's options here, guys. You have to understand that. The biggest problem with the Yankees right now is the second baseman and to a much lesser extent, the catcher. Now, I'll get to Austin Wells in a minute. How the Yankees don't have a right-handed catcher on the roster, that's a Cashman thing here. But let's get to Jazz Chisholm, who is just incredibly frustrating. And I remember he said it on February 19th. He starts talking about 50 home runs and 50 steals and a $300 million contract. That was on the 19th. And J-Rod, can you pop that tweet up for me, please? Look at him. He's on top of it today, baby. On the 20th, the next day, here's what I wrote. Jazz already strikes out too much. What's that number going to turn into chasing 50 bombs all year? Well, I'll give you the short answer. Now, there's a lot of baseball to go, and he's not going to hit 204 this year, and he's going to run into some home runs. I understand that, and he's already got a ton of stolen bases. But the strikeouts, he's on pace for his career high. He's on pace for about 185 right now. It's unacceptable. And the thing about Jazz Chisholm, which is why I want nothing to do with Jazz Chisholm. I really don't want him on this team. I've told you going back over a year when I was still on WFAN that I was told by the Yankees that there's no way he's getting a contract extension. There's no way. I remember talking to Alex Rodriguez about Jazz and, a couple of times, and he's like, he's incredibly gifted, but he's just not reliable. And he's not. He's in space. He's either in space on defense, he's on space on the bases. And the problem with West, you knew this was going to happen. As soon as he said what he said about 50 home runs, his entire mindset shifts. When you're chasing 50 and you're not a natural, 35, 40 plus home run guy, like a Judge, like an Alonso, guys like an Ohtani, well, what do? Now you've got to you're gearing up a little bit. And when you gear up a little bit and try to do something that is not within your natural skill set, your mechanics just collapse. And when your mechanics collapse, that leads to empty at bats and looking at fastballs right down the middle and swinging like you're a skinny Babe Ruth or Reggie Jackson. And it's just not going to work out. So, I don't know. I'll give you a couple of options here. Like if you ask me right now, if you said, okay, would you rather have Caballero at short? I know he's got the finger now, but he's going to be fine. Would I rather have Caballero at shortstop and Volpe at second base over Caballero and Jazz at second base? My answer would be yes. I could see why you would push back on that because Volpe's a low on base guy. We know Volpe's track record, and he's not even hitting in the minors right now, so that's a little ambitious. but at least I know that Volpe would be locked in. He's not a space cadet like Jazz. He's emotionally unreliable. All right. So that would be one option. Another option would be, if Lombard really, if these balls start falling and the numbers get to a point where I think that they might in the minors, AAA, I don't mean in a week, but maybe in a month or two, can I envision a situation where Lombard's at shortstop and Caballero's at second base? Yup. And I would prefer that over having Jazz Chisholm play every night. Can I envision a situation where listen, back to Volpe for a second. It's probably not realistic to think that the Yankees would mess around with a position change during the season when this guy's trying to figure it out as a hitter. And I get that. That might be a little bit dangerous, might be a little bit reckless. So maybe the move would be Volpe at shortstop and Caballero at second and, maybe, Lombard at third, or maybe Volpe at short and Lombard at second, who's played a little bit of second in the minors, and you stick with McMahon at third base, maybe except against tough lefties. Rosario plays McMahon swinging the bat a lot better. It's just you can't have this guy in the middle of what is supposed to be, and I'm not saying it's a championship lineup, it's a championship rotation, and they've got a couple of superstars in the lineup, but I'm going to stop short of saying it's a championship lineup. But the more that this guy plays, the more he's exposed. And the deeper the season gets, and the average hovers around 200, and he starts to internalize, I'm chasing big money. I got to get the bag. I said that I was going to hit 50 home runs. I got to really start selling out even more. Once you start doing that as a golfer, as a baseball player, as a golfer, what in the world was that? As a baseball player, you are cooked. You are mentally broken. You are physically broken. And by the way, the reason why I did say the golfer is because it's kind of like somebody who is a golfer who just, you just know, like, and he knows, more importantly, that his putter, there's just something off. Doesn't roll, ball's not rolling, not legging it well, not reading the greens well, not seeing things the way you need to see things in a major to compete on the back nine on a Sunday. And when you have that, and I don't care what great golfer we're talking about, at some point that's going to infiltrate their mindset because it's a very, up and down kind of a sport, and it's a feel sport. And baseball is very up and down, and baseball is very much a feel sport as well. The problem with Jazz, though, is that he shows no inclination to want to change. And I'll give you a good example. So last night the Yanks are up 2-0. Ben Rice, Oppo, 2-run bomb. Weathers looked phenomenal again, right? So Judge has a double. Judge leads off the double. Bellinger hits a ground ball to first base, productive out. Judge goes over to third base. Now, these are the tack-on runs that we talk about. These are the things that define teams that are, really going to ultimately win championships. And there's other components, of course. You need the starting pitching. You need the bullpen. Got to catch the ball. Got to run. I know that. But those extra tack-on runs are paramount to any team that's trying to do something of significance. And what does Jazz Chisholm do? Well, he does what he always does. He abandons the situation, and he just worries about himself. And he's swinging from the heels, and he's letting good pitches go, and he's expanding the zone, and he's just his front shoulder's flying out because he's trying to jack one, and it's a big problem. It is a big, big problem. He's hitting 200. He's got a 600 OPS, and he's on pace for the most strikeouts he's ever had in his career. So, to me, when I tell the Yankee fans, you got to relax a little bit, I mean it. It's too early. They've looked too good at most points outside of that. When they lost 5 straight and the Mets had lost 5 straight, that was and then the Yankees quickly course corrected. The Mets did not. And then the Yankees went on this crazy roll. And, I did a couple of shows where I stand by this. Like, I believe that the Yankees have the DNA to win big. I believe that this group of players, they detest losing, which is a characteristic all great teams have to have. Now, it's not saying they're going to win a World Series, but I'm just saying relax. Like, everybody's got to just tap the brakes a little bit. But what can't be tapped is unless you're tapping the gas to move on from Jazz, the Yankees are going to have to look themselves in the mirror at some point. Not today, not next week, maybe not even next month. How far do they want to run this thing out with Jazz Chisholm being a focal point of this team? Now, I'll tell you something else. I don't know how long he's here. Talking about Spencer Jones. I don't know, when Stanton's going to start running again. I don't really know what the thing is. I know he's on the 10-day IL, but I'm not really sure when he's going to come back, whatever. Nor do I know what the Yankees' plans would be for Dominguez when he does come back. But it's a small sample. But you watch Spencer Jones play center field, and you watch Trent Grisham play center field. Don't tell me that Trent Grisham is a better defensive center fielder. I don't think that he is. Now, I'm not saying that you just banish him as well. I'm not, getting on the air today saying get rid of Jazz, get rid of Trent, although I did say that during the offseason, so it would be consistent with my thought process about the Yankees. So they've lost 4 straight. They have taken absolute starting gems and flushed them down the chute. And not just, this is the point, not just because of the bullpen, because of their inability to tack on with situational hitting. I mean, I know that there's no real glory in lofting a little, moderately shallow fly ball to center field or left field. But to do that, you've got to commit to keep, as a lefty, that front shoulder in and not selling out because you said you're going to hit 50 home runs. And that is a byproduct of a couple of things. He put incredible pressure on himself by saying that. And it's one thing to be confident. And I do like Jazz's confidence. And I do like the let's not get this twisted, because one thing, I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I don't know if it's a race thing. I don't know what it is, but I feel like a lot of the times that we talk about Jazz, people kind of hear different stuff. Understand what I'm saying. I actually love the edge, the swag that he brings to the team. And I've said for many years, I think the Yankees have been far too corporate. Would I wear my hat that way? No, but I'm also not, 26 years old. So I get it. And CeCe had the tilt and some other, Dontrelle Willis. Hey, swag out. Do what you got to do. But the production's got to be there. And the night-to-night reliability's got to be there. And I don't care if you run like Ricky Henderson. If you're not reliably on base, and I don't care if you wind up hitting 30-something home runs and blow by 30-30, which if he hits 30 home runs, he absolutely would blow by 30, steals, because he's probably going to have 40. Already has about 14, whatever it might be. I don't care about that. I care about when you were in that, when it's time to win, when it's time to take that final nail and stick it in the coffin and hammer them and put another team in the ground, whether it's in early-ish mid-May or late October against the Dodgers or whomever else you might be facing if you get to the World Series, or whomever you would face in the postseason, the American League. You just can't flush those at-bats down the chute. And do you really think that there's going to be some sudden, and I'm going to ask Aaron Boone about, I am going to really get into Jazz Chisholm tomorrow. I think it's going to be really interesting. What is the plan for Volpe? I mean, if he hits 240 for the next month, are they going to call him up? I doubt it. I mean, are they waiting for him to get hot? I don't know. How willing are they to, and this would be an organizational thing, so I don't know how much Aaron would really be able to answer this, but because it's going to be a group thing, and it should be when you're talking about your top prospect. At what point, if he continues to barrel the ball, because we know he can defend and run, is Lombard getting a look up here? There are variables here that I think will ultimately favorably alter the Yankee trajectory. But I get it. This is baseball in New York, Susan. And, we want to go nuts. Now, you want to go nuts. Go nuts about the Mets, who are 15-25 and look like absolute trash. I mean, that's a team that you want to let it rip. It's not too early to whether you want to bury the Mets or crush the Mets. But let's have at least a little perspective, just a little bit, guys, a little perspective here, where we all know the Yankees will be a playoff team, and you should know by now that the team that you see in May is not going to be the team that you see in certain spots in October. And if you can compartmentalize that, you could probably deal with a loss like last night and even what transpired over the weekend in Milwaukee with a little bit more clarity and a little bit more calmness, right? If you don't see that, and you get, then you're going to be a little irrational, and that's fine. Yankee fans, I said, I told everybody to relax, but you do what you want to do. You do you. Be you. I'm just telling, we've seen this enough. We have seen enough baseball to understand that a 3 or a 4 or even a 5-game losing streak in May is not the end of the world, okay? Ben Rice didn't get in a bat in Milwaukee. Ben Rice comes back, boom, 2-run Oppo laser. So you got your stud hitter back, along with Judge, and Belly's been on a heater. Yankees offense will be fine. They're going to blast home runs. Their starting pitching is phenomenal, and they're going to make tweaks. Now, do I love the way Boone used the bullpen over the weekend? Nope, I don't. I said that yesterday. I'll bring up some questions tomorrow that I have about usage here, but I just don't think Bednar is the closer, and some of these studs who are throwing really quality starts, start after start after start, are going to be in the bullpen, which is going to rearrange and not just like, moving a chair on the Titanic. I think it's going to be effective. So I'm good. Like, I'm fine where the Yankees are. I don't like losing, and I don't like losing the way they lost last night. But it's a long season. They're not perfect. Nobody is. Relax. All right, J-Rod. Today's show, as always, let's give a shout-out to the sponsors here for BT Unleashed, of course. Brought to you by my friends at Sullivan Papane. Find Sullivan online at triallaw1.com. It's triallaw1.com. Remember the name, Sullivan Papane. And by Premio Sausage. Sausage the way it should be. Find them at premiofoods.com or in your local grocery store. I mean, but Jazz is the one that just drives me nuts. He does. And depending upon when you watch Jazz, right, you've got conflicting opinions. Nobody doubts the talent. But one thing that I've said, especially about a baseball player, right, when you are, X amount of years, and I don't mean 2 or 3, that's why, I'll give a little glimmer of hope that Volpe can expand his game a little bit. Same with Dominguez, ironically, he can't catch a fly ball in the outfield. He makes a great play. He gets hurt. Like, that's why I never buried Dominguez. I never fully buried Anthony Volpe. But a guy like Jazz Chisholm is not going to change. He's just not going to change. A guy like and, all respect to Big G, but he's not going to change. Even the great Aaron Judge is not going to change. You are what you are. Now, Ryan McMahon has changed a little bit, but Ryan McMahon also had a couple of good early seasons in Colorado, and you're not relying on Ryan McMahon like you're relying on Jazz Chisholm. Like, Jazz is going to hit 5th, Jazz is going to hit 6th, McMahon's going to hit 9th. He's going to hit 8th or 9th. So it's a different level of responsibility. And I just, again, I'm just a staunch believer when there's X amount of at-bats, when there's enough evidence as a hitter. Now, I think as a pitcher, I think it's a little different. You can discover a new pitch. You can come back with a cutter. Like, you can just, this happens a lot. You could just be throwing during the offseason. You alter your grip, and all of a sudden you got 7, 8, 9 more inches, vertical break, horizontal break, whatever it might be. And now you incorporate this into the repertoire, and it makes the other stuff, which was getting hit, a little bit more effective, which could lead to a more effective pitcher. But if you're a hitter and you have a propensity to always swing from the heels, you're not, like Jazz does, you're not going to change your approach. It's not going to happen. Yes, you're going to have a hot streak because you're incredibly talented. But when you need him, man on third, down a run, lift a fly ball to the outfield, stop selling out to try to be a hero with a 2-run jack to the moon. Just put the bat on the ball. Roll it over to second base, little ground ball, get him in. These are things that you must do. And these are things that he doesn't do. So the Yankees have a Jazz Chisholm problem. Austin Wells it's a little different here. He too is relied less upon than, somebody like Jazz. So if he's at the bottom of the order, and he's got 5 RBIs, which is ridiculous. I mean, he's got 3 home runs. He's got 5 RBIs, dude. Wow. And he's always been a lower average hitter. I think he's a terrific defensive catcher. He receives and I know that some people don't, really care about this, but it does matter because there's got to be a familiarity and a comfort level with starting pitcher. Like, that matters. That relationship matters. If there's any position that I'm willing to sacrifice a little offense, it's behind the plate and it's at shortstop. Now, it's not like it was in the 80s with guys like Ozzie Smith and all those, who was great, catching the ball, but all those 80s and early 90s shortstops hitting 230 with 6 home runs and just bunting. You can't really have too many of those guys because it's the modern game is about offense, and it's about launch angle, and it's about home runs, and it's about outscoring the opposition. And if you have, 2 or 3 dead spots in the order, like too often the Yankees do in the bottom third, you got some problems there. But I think if you were to go through, maybe this will make you feel better. Maybe you don't need to feel better about the Yankees today, right? I mean, do what you want. Process it how you will. But you could go through every single team, including the Dodgers, and even including the Braves, who look terrific, and the Rays, who are leading the American League East right now. And if you were to micro-dissect their roster, like just parachute, not that they're really, no disrespect to Tampa Radio. They've got some good hosts down there, but they're not doing what we do with, not that this is radio either, but you know what I mean, with the Yankees and the Mets. Like, the level is absurd. Like the micro analysis, it is over the top, but that's the way it's always going to be. because we're a baseball town, right? And I really don't think if the Dodgers lose 4 or 5 in a row, or the Padres lose 4 or 5 in a row, that out west in the beautiful city of San Diego or out in LA, that you're going to have, the phone lines and all the other content where you're going to have lunatics. I mean, fire this guy, trade that guy. We can't win. This level of fatality that sets in with the Yankees and the Mets. Now, the Mets have earned a lot of that, and I'm not pronouncing them dead yet, and I'll get to Ewing in a minute. But, it's just, if I can impress one thing upon you today, understand that, and this is one of the first things I said, this version of the Yankees is not going to be the version that they run out in October. And if it is, they will not win the World Series. I've got no problem saying that. It's that simple. And if it is, and they wind up playing a team like the Rays who are buttoned up and they catch it and they run, hold on. It's not like the Rays have never beaten the Yankees in the postseason. I don't care what the payrolls are, what the disparity might be. Yankees got some work to do. And that was part of the issue coming into the season. We knew the Yankees had work to do because you look at the final, 3-4 hitters in a lineup, and it's kind of like automatic out, automatic out, automatic out. Jazz is not an automatic out, but he's incredibly confounding and frustrating, and they rely on him to be one of the big dogs, and he's just not statistically reliable enough, not let alone emotionally reliable enough. So, I just think that, and I was looking at this before the start of the show, and it's not a hot take. It's just me like closing my eyes and envisioning a Yankee team with Rice hitting and Judge hitting and Bellinger hitting, those three guys carrying the mail for the offense, obviously. Stanton maybe a little bit against lefties if and when he comes back, whatever. He's going to hit some big home runs this year. We know the deal with him. But Caballero and Volpe up the middle, Caballero and Lombard up the middle, or Caballero and Jazz, or Volpe and Jazz. Like, to me, the least appealing option, ironically, right now would be Volpe at short and Jazz at second. The more defender, and all the numbers back this up, I don't care what Volpe did with the Gold Glove back in the day, Caballero is just a more electric defensive player. Better arm, better range, he's better, right? So Caballero at short, and then maybe Lombard at second. Like, there are things that you can do. You got to find a right-handed hitting catcher just to kind of mix things up. You got to hope that McMahon's going to, whatever he's on to now. He's been swinging the bat real well. Almost went deep last night. Off the bat, I thought that was gone. And he's been on a nice 3-week run where, and they talk about this. One of the reasons why he's doing better is because he's letting the ball travel deeper. And as a hitter, when you do that, you're not jumpy. When you're like, Jazz is jumpy, all right? When you are jumpy, you're trying to crank it. You're trying to just yam one as a lefty down the right field line, right? When you let it travel deep, you're less susceptible to this. Your shoulder's not flaring out. You go the other way. And, whether it's a hard hit ball the other way or just making more contact, which could keep the carousel going on the bases, like, that's the way the game works. And Jazz Chisholm has never gotten the memo. There's a reason why. Now, I'm not saying it was the healthiest clubhouse ever when he was in Miami. I know they gave him a rough time. And I do like Jazz. And I think that the Yankees, the players, I think that they like Jazz. But, he's a hot dog. And that plays, if you're Ricky Henderson, that doesn't play when you're, a little sloppy in the field, at least intermittently sloppy and not really reliable. Sometimes, even though you're electric on the bases, you fall asleep with the oven mitt, whatever it might be. Last year with the pop-up down in Miami on first base. I mean, there's just been so many examples with the World Series blowing bubbles, the ball's in the infield. I don't trust the guy. And I really don't know why the Yankees do. I know they don't trust him enough to give him that contract. Like, nobody told you that before me. I was the first one to say he will not get a contract extension with the Yankees, and he will not. Now the next question is, do the Yankees have the appetite? And I don't know the answer to this. This I don't know. I mean, I could give you a theory, and I will. I'll give you a thought. Do the Yankees have the appetite to roll with this the rest of the year when there seems to be so much more urgency everywhere you look? Luis Hill banished to the minors. Volpe, nope, you didn't do well in Double-A. All right, your 20-day rehab stint is up. No, Caballero's playing better. You could stay in the minors. You know what, McMahon early, you're not hitting against righties. We'll go against the data. We'll go against the numbers, and we're going to have Rosario play against a couple of righties rather than just lefties. Like, the things that they've done have been, I mean, maybe impressive is the wrong word because that's what you should do. I mean, that's what I would do. I'm not sitting here saying I'm popping champagne for the Yankees doing things that I've always wanted them to do. But there is much more an aversion to like running it back, like and being okay and putting up with either a substandard performance statistically or an emotional unreliable. I know I've used that word too much, like unreliability. And that's the problem. That is the problem with the Yankees. Jay, do you hear what I'm selling out there, Jay? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, big time, man. No, the chats are popping. I've got one I wanna see you respond to.
Yeah, let's get it up, man. Let's go. What are we waiting for here? All right. I act like Jazz Chisholm is no, I don't act like he's a scrub. I never once said he was a scrub. See, the difference is, I appreciate that, but no, I don't think he's a scrub. But unfortunately, he's not what you need, if you really want to be a championship type of team. All right, if Jazz was playing with Bernie and Tino and Derek and Posada, and those cats, Ambrosius, sure, I can run him out. I can hide him in there a little bit, and maybe the other stuff would rub off on him, But let's not get it twisted. I never once said that. See, the problem is, if I didn't think that Jazz Chisholm had immense talent, I don't think I'd waste a whole lot of time on Jazz Chisholm. The frustration and what's up for, I think, constant dissection and evaluation is that we know he has as much talent as anybody on the team, really, outside of Aaron Judge. He's probably the fastest Yankee. He's got a good arm. Played a little outfield with the Marlins, played a little third base here. Obviously, he's made some great plays at second. When he hits them, they go. I mean, they just fly off his bat like he's playing wiffle ball. And if you watch the Jazz Chisholm highlight reel, you are utterly impressed. You're like, yep, wow. How many all-star teams this guy been on? I mean, how many top 5 MVPs has this guy had? What is he more? He's like a more athletic Robbie Cano? No, he's not. Because Robinson Cano actually understood how to hit. He understood getting in a favorable count. He understood. I just think Robbie Cano's, now defensively, even though he made great plays too, maybe defensively there was a little bit of indifference there, or a little flighty, a little spacey. Robinson Cano's offensive aptitude and IQ runs laps around Jazz Chisholm. I mean, he can't even figure out the ABS challenge system. I mean, come on. You're in the batter's box. It's right down the middle, tapping your head. What? So he doesn't even know the strike zone. And I don't think he's got much of a plan, because when you have a plan, right? And I know it all depends on who you're facing and what's in their repertoire and their pitch dependency. And I know that they have the scouting report and all that stuff. So I know it's not always the same pitcher to pitcher. Obviously, some guy might have a sinker that's going to bear in on righties, which is really tough to hit. I remember seeing, last series with the Orioles, Pete Alonso had a real rough time with that. So it's a nasty pitch to hit. That thing's running towards your ankles, and it presents itself as a fastball, and it's 97, 90, and it's that hard sinker with late action. You either have to take it, you take it a check swing, or you're banging one off your ankle, or you're going to tap one in the third base dugout. So you understand what everybody has and what their go-to pitch is. But I feel like every game, Jazz Chisholm goes up there and he's swinging, from the heels, trying to hit one to outer space on a first pitch curveball that he misses by a mile. Like, dude, just sit back and react to dead red early in the count. I mean, that's basic stuff. So I am not a Jazz believer. I'm not. And I have never been a Jazz Chisholm believer. Now, the irony here, this is where it gets a little interesting, and I'll be fair. There are times when I am a fan, and that's kind of splitting the difference. And it almost seems like a contradiction. Like, well, if you're not a believer, why would you be a fan? Well, because I am a fan of his talents, and I am a fan of his energy, but I am not a believer in how he presents himself as a buttoned-up, night-to-night, reliable baseball player, because he's just not that. And he's never going to be that. He's going to suddenly change now? You don't think Judge has tried everything in the world to get him to get, more of a plan, more urgency? No, it's not going to work. Trade Spencer Jones. Yeah, well, I don't think the A's are giving him up. I don't think that's going to happen there. And Wells. I mean, guys, here, first of all, Langoliers is really good. I think they gave him a little contract too. He's really good. Why would they want, I mean, Spencer Jones might wind up being a career minor leaguer. He just might be. And Austin Wells is a 210 hitter. I mean, I grant he's got some pop and he does receive the ball well, but it's amazing. You guys present these trades, to get something, you got to give up something. If you want to get Langoliers from the A's, you got to give up like a Will Warren and something of value. I'm not saying Jones and Wells have zero value, but you know what I mean. Some of these trades are insane. You just think about a 2-1 sided. So the Yankees, boy, J-Rod, I really hope that the Yankees get a win tonight, man. Otherwise, me and my boy Booney going to be getting after it tomorrow.
It's going to be rough. I mean, maybe, listen, depending on how it goes, I think another loss could be better for the Pop tomorrow. So
hang on. Let me
see what's going on.
Let me just put Depends
how he takes it, really.
Yep. Let me just put a little order into the next room. I'm in the mood I'm going to have a second cup of coffee today.
Ooh, there we go.
Let me just put the text in here. Can you please make me a cup of coffee and bring it in? Thank you. All right. Let's see how long that takes. If there's a long line there here over at Tierney Bucks. Are you a Starbucks guy or no?
No, I'm not a coffee guy. I've got
coffee?
I've got like a rough stomach. So
okay.
And it's not really it's not all dairy things, but like caffeine just really messes me up.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing.
I'm not a big caffeine guy. Like I very rarely drink soda. We very rarely have soda in the house.
Yeah.
Honestly, even more than we should, and we don't have it much. But if it was up to me, I have none. Zero. But sometimes it is good. Like if late game, you have a little McDonald's. All right, then it's good, or a little BK, or I will have a ginger ale, as I've told you, on football Sundays. A little roast beef, roast beef, extra mozz, all that stuff, roasted red peppers, pizza. There's a time and a place for a little bit of soda, kids' birthday parties. But even if I'm drinking decaf, and once the show's over, I won't have a sip of coffee, even at the Fan. Even at the Fan, my entire career, right? But I'm most recently WFAN, doing the 10 o'clock show with Tiki and then Sal. I would sip a cup of coffee on the way in because I would drive in, right? And then I would make one more during the show, and I would never finish it. It's more like a companion. It's there. I take a little sip, right? But even if it's decaf, I find it therapeutic. It's just part of the process. Like if I've got a lot of work to do, I had a lot of notes here today. Not that listen, this is my job. I'm not looking for bonus points. This is what I do. But had a lot of notes today because I want to get to a lot of stuff. Wait till I get to the NFL international schedule. I'm going to destroy the NFL today. But there's something to be said. It's part of my process. I just enjoy knowing it's there, a little sip there, even if it's decaf, as I said. And I never drank coffee until, matter of fact, the first time I ever had coffee, I'll never forget my buddy Andy Monfried, who's the best. I love Andy. So I graduated from college, trying to get into the
wow.
Oh yeah, no, not once until after college, and I was working. I had a sales job in New York City, and I was trying to break into the industry, right? So I was doing a little bit on Wall Street over at Fidelity. I was doing at this other company before that, construction, just mixing and matching before I could get a break. It's not easy,
Yep.
And I remember we went out one night, and I think I was still living at home. Because I was just out of school, and man, I got rocked, man. I went out with a bunch of the older sales, and I could handle myself, because I had fun in college, but I went a little bit too deep, right? And I show up for the sales meeting the next day, and my buddy Andy's like, dude, I was out with him for a while. He's like, let's go get a cup of coffee, man. I'm like, he's like, you need some. That was the first time I had it, and it gave me a little jolt. I'm like, oh, okay.
I like it. Yeah.
So even now, driving to play golf or even coaching, if I'm coaching an early morning game, I'll have a cup of coffee in the dugout. I'll kind of sip it after we go through infield, outfield. But where's my coffee? I'm starting to certainly not going to get a tip here. We got to respond. You will have it in 5. There we go. Okay, I appreciate that. Yes, very much. All right, so we'll get to something. What does that say about the Yankees there? Hold on, put the shades on. Let me put the shades on, J-Rod. Warren or Weathers to stay in the rotation. Now, this is something that I really can't wait to talk to Aaron Boone about. This, again, it's going to be a big organizational decision. I don't know the answer. I don't know his answer. I'll give you mine. Now, I did tweet last night, maybe Weathers to the bullpen. And I said this, 15, 20 minutes ago. He's more of a reliable he's thrown some gems where he's untouchable. And the Yankees really did have a good read on him. He's controllable. He's cheap, but he was a little bit injury prone in the wrong situation. and they had to refine his stuff. And the Yankees are really good at that organizationally. Some of these pitching reclamation projects, they're actually outstanding at it, right? And I want to give them credit there. So to me, the only way that I can possibly, let me get a little, let me get blank piece of paper. The only way that I can answer this, right? I've got to assume full health. And like, if it's up to me, let's push this thing forward. Let's go to like August, right? All right, let's go to August here. You got Fried 1. And again, the order is somewhat insignificant. You can always manipulate the rotations, off days, whatever. But just to kind of push it forward and keep it moving. Fried 1, Garrett Cole 2. I mean, Cam Schlittler, number one, Cam Schlittler is one of the best pitchers in baseball, period. If Cam is your 2, he's absolutely the best 2. And if Cam Schlittler's your 3, he might actually be the best 3 of all time. I mean, maybe a little bit of a prisoner of the moment, but I don't know. Anyway, Fried 1, Cole 2, Schlittler 3. They're going to keep Rodon 4. I can be coaxed into maybe Rodon 5, whatever. But I think Rodon deserves more respect than he's gotten. The first year was a mess, and then he really started to right the ship, and he was really good last year, playoffs aside, and Heel was awful as well against Toronto. Either way, Rodon 4. See, the thing with the Weathers, right? I'm going to say Weathers 5. So if that's the case, see, but here's the problem, and this is what I want to talk to with Boone. Maybe they don't care about this, right? At that point, 60% of your rotation's lefties. Fried's a lefty. Obviously, Rodon is a lefty, and Weathers is a lefty. If you have Warren as your 5 and Weathers to the pen, well, now it's, lefty, righty, lefty. And again, you can manipulate that if Warren's that number 5. And if Warren's the number 5, well, now you get a bullpen where you've got Weathers, I still like Cruz. With that splitter, I love his energy. He's got to be used in the right spot. I'm a Cruz fan. I mean, Duvall get lost. I mean, Bednar is going to be the 8th inning man, in my opinion. Weathers, Clark Schmidt, they're going to make a trade, and I think it's going to be a big one for an electric arm who will wind up being the closer. And then Bednar. And, I'm not really banking on Heel. But then LeGrand and, Elmer Rodriguez looked a little bit overwhelmed, but he, too, has great stuff, and maybe like a Ramiro Mendoza role, if you're old enough to remember that, 5th inning, 6th inning. I could see him being before the high leverage point. So that's my answer. I don't know what their answer is. I don't even know if they know their answer right now. I don't know. I mean, it's all depending upon, does Weathers keep this up? What does Will Warren look like? I'd have to investigate further. Not that it really matters, because Clay Holmes was a starter with the Pirates, then a reliever, now a starter again. Did Warren get any, relief look in the? I don't think he did. Weathers did. So there's a lot of factors at play. But the good news is they've got a lot of options, which gives me comfort. I think Dominguez is done. Wells is done, just like Alvarez, Vientos, and Beatty. We know what they are, and they're supplemental role players at best. I'm definitely not trying to make this a Yankee Met thing. Keep that up there. I'm just not a big Alvarez fan. I'm just not. I know he's got a little bit of pop. Not a fan. I don't think I ever will be. I probably overrated Beatty a little bit coming into the season. Defensive versatility, hit some home runs last year. Basically took him a month to get a walk there. That was surprising, but I'm not giving up on Beatty. Beatty batting 7th or 8th on a good team is fine. What else we got there? I'm not going to give up on Dominguez, and I'm not going to give up. I guess the only one, I'm just not a Vientos guy. You know that, because of his limited role. All they can do is, there's the coffee. Thank you very much. Any tip? Do I owe you anything? Is that good? It's free. Yeah. You hear what you just said? I can't tell you. So I think that, look at what does the mug say? Hope. There you go. I think that there's a lot of players up on the board there. I don't think any of them will be stars. And I think that, obviously, a year from now, and certainly 2, you might have 40, 60, maybe 80% of those guys gone. But I'm not going to give up on Dominguez because of the speed ratio, and he's got a little pop. Wells does enough defensively where I'm not going to give up on him. I don't love him, and he's just not becoming the player that I thought he could. But, how many teams have catchers that are going to hit 20-something home runs? Now, he's got to get going a little bit, but he's already done it. So I already know he's a 20-plus home run guy. He's cheap, and he's a good receiver of the ball. So There's a lot there. It's a good chat or a good message. I appreciate that. Now, very quickly here on what the Mets are doing. Listen, the Mets are a bad week, and maybe the Yankees can complicate things for the Mets coming up in the Subway Series, the first Subway Series here. I don't know what they're going to do during the 6-game homestand. And playing a couple of good teams. I feel like they're going to be 2-4. Who knows? I mean, baseball's wacky. Maybe split the difference 3-3. Maybe they shock the world. They go 5-1. Things change. I don't know. I obviously don't know. Nobody knows here. But I am not seeing any evidence that the Mets are ready to go on some sort of roll. So I'm certainly not going to say that. I like the call-up of Ewing, and I like the call-up of – I'm looking forward to watching him play. See, it's one thing like when the Yankees call up Spencer Jones, even though he can run, and I think he's going to be maybe not here, but I think he could be certainly competent and maybe slightly closer to a plus defensive center fielder, unlike Dominguez. But a guy like Ewing is going to be – and I thought this way of Benj as well coming into the season. A guy like Ewing's going to be able to impact the game, even if he's 0 for 4 or 1 for 4 with a blue base hit. Because when he's on base, he runs like the wind. He's going to have the green light. He's a high-energy guy. And I think A.J. Ewing's going to bring a little juice here, some much-needed juice. So I'm looking forward to watching him play. And obviously this year he's hitting the heck out of him. He's hitting 339. And then last year at 3 levels of the minors, he had 365. 315. So he's a huge on-base guy, almost 400 for his minor league career. I believe it's 395, and he's already got 17 steals. He had 71 last year. So he's probably running a 6.4 60. He absolutely flies, and he's the kind of energy and infusion of youthful exuberance and juice, and scoring from first on a double that not everybody is, or making a play in the gap defensively that not everybody could. And I think, we're not there yet because it's still fairly early. But if you're a Met fan right now, I know you're still holding out hope that the Mets will get, hot and they'll rectify this a bit. I think that there's a better chance that the Mets sell people off. I think there's a good chance that that's going to happen rather than getting back into any sort of legitimate, like high-level playoff baseball conversation. Like if the Mets make the playoffs, they're going to be the last team in. They're not going to suddenly jump over the Braves and, find a way to win 93 games. The Mets will be in the 80s if they're lucky, the high 80s, most probably more like the high 70s. And if they're not careful, lower than that. Like there's just not a lot of options. Lindor's nowhere near coming back, and they've just got a lot of issues. I mean, Minaya is a disaster. They got problems, right? Peralta's not quite been what he's been fine, but you need more. If you're looking for that kind of money, Peralta, you got to be a little bit better. Got to go a little deeper in games, which he just doesn't. And he didn't do that with Milwaukee either. So maybe that was an unrealistic expectation. The point is, if the Mets start to sell off some pieces, right? And even if they don't yet, I think you're beginning to see the future of the Mets. Now, I don't know if that future is going to actually work because, a couple of years ago, all we heard about was Alvarez, #1 prospect in baseball, stinks. The Beatties, the Mauricios, the Vientoses, the great Mets farm system. Cohen bought a minor league system by, what he did with Scherzer and the aging veteran pitchers eating them, which, by the way, was a good move by Cohen. I applauded him for that. But you still got to get some players who actually come up here and play before you say, wow, it was an amazing move. Like there's 2 levels of grading that out. I gave him a world of credit. I'm like, now that's a guy who is willing to push his money. Mets had a bad farm system, and based on the willingness to eat money, Mets went from one of the worst farm systems, at least on paper, to one of the better ones. They've got some pitching. They've got some young, fast position players, but they got to play well. And hopefully somebody like Ewing will. And I like Benj. I do. He's a kid, man. And it's hard. It's hard. Baseball's tough, dude. It's not like you're a rookie in the NBA and if you get drafted to a bad team, you're going to have a low efficiency rate because there's nothing around you, whatever. But like, think about somebody like Deuce McBride when he was drafted, 2nd-round pick. He can get some time on the court. And he can just kind of ease his way in because you had some veterans, you had some good players, you had a stable situation, you had a good coach in Tom Thibodeau, and the runway to contribute and not be overwhelmed by being asked to do too much is simply not there. And it's just a much better way for a young player to enter any situation. These poor Mets players are getting called up, and they're kind of thought to like, come save us, come save us. Just like when they brought up Alvarez from the minors a couple of years ago in that Atlanta series in 2022, And I mean, oh, bases loaded, pretty big game. Go pinch hit, buddy. I mean, could you ease the kid in? Could he get in that bat against the Marlins, or the Nationals? Yeah, geez. So I don't know what Ewing's going to do, but I'm looking forward to watching him play. And, when I close my eyes and I think about the Mets outfield, if everything goes well in, maybe this year, next year, certainly the year after, you start to envision, all right, you got Soto, you got Benj, and you got Ewing. Like, that would be your outfield. And I want to see Ryan Clifford get a look this year, too, at first base. I want to see him play. Now, I know he's a higher strikeout guy, but he's got easy power. He's a first baseman. He's the highest rated first baseman in the system. He's been, he's got some seasoning. Like, this is where the Mets are. The Mets are another week or two away from really, if they're not already crafting a possible shifting in philosophy here, where they're going to be trading guys off. I mean, that's all there is to it. You're just not going to run this thing out there all year. You're going to have to make some changes here. It's going to have to be a massive course correction, a massive recalibration. And if that happens, right, and they start selling off some of these pieces, like say if they get rid of Peralta and they get rid of, not that you would really miss Peterson, but I mean, and nobody wants Minaya for that money, so the Mets would have to eat the money. But if like Peralta's gone and if they trade a Bichette, like stuff like that, I'd have to even see if Bichette has a no try. I don't even know if he does. But if they get rid of some of the few names, veteran names, yeah, I mean, I know we all enjoy watching young kids play. It's pretty exciting. It's galvanizing as a fan, but that place is going to be empty soon. So, like, it's go time for the Mets. I mean, you can't just keep pushing it back. It's early. And Met fans aren't saying that, to their credit. To your credit, if you're a Met fan, I think you guys have had a real fair read on the year. Maybe coming into the year, you were ready to bite. Your fists were clenched. Your teeth were like, because you lost Pete, you lost Nimmo. The Mets messed up. Yeah, I know he's hurt, so maybe it wouldn't have mattered. But the Mets messed up the Diaz situation just by a couple of $1 million. They messed that up. Now, they did not want Nimmo. They did not want Pete. They want the Diaz. They just messed that up. That's on Stearns, right? But I thought they had a pretty viable plan B, trying to get Tucker. Tucker goes to L.A. All right, boom. We get Bichette basically like the next day, kind of. And, you got Juan Soto, you got Bichette, you got Lindor, you got Peralta, and everybody's thinking, including me, that the Mets would be pretty competitive this year. And instead, I mean, everybody's hurt, and it's an absolute lifeless, sad sack situation. So that's where the Mets are. All right. Let me get a couple of No, I'm not insulting Cano. I was pointing out the differences. Jazz Chisholm can't shine his shoes. I mean, listen, it's funny because Robinson Cano, I mean, I almost wish I had Gleyber Torres at this point. I know that's nuts. I think Gleyber Torres was at least a little bit more reliable in some of these situational spots. Robinson Cano, right? Man, I know the PEDs and all that stuff, and he left and went to Seattle. But Robinson Cano, I mean, talk about, I don't know if we ever took a player for granted more than we did Robinson Cano. And I know that like the true devout Yankee fans were in awe of his hitting and did appreciate him. But, there was a little bit of laziness or the game came easy. You remember the points of frustration and the points of contention. But Robinson Cano, I mean, I'm just looking at this. Hit 342 his first full year in the bigs. Really his second full year. 342. Then he had 306, 320, 319, 302, 313, 314, 314. I mean, big RBIs, big home runs, 48 doubles, 41 doubles, 46 doubles, 48 doubles, 41 doubles. Absolutely astounding. I mean, what Cano did. But see, the difference with Cano, I think Robinson Cano was penalized by what was around him. Like, we were so used to the Yankee royalty and the Yankees winning that when they didn't win, and of course he won in 09, and think about that Yankee infield in 09. Mark Teixeira, Cano, Jeter, A-Rod. What? Just come on. I mean, one of the best ever, right? But because the Yankees won so much before Cano got there, and there was a trace of, from him, body language, not always busted out of the box, and those were real things, and I would get on him. I remember I was on 1050 ESPN radio at that point, and I loved Cano. I was a big Cano fan, but I have no patience for somebody that doesn't play the game hard all the time. I understand that it's 162. I'm not asking you to sprint after a walk like Pete Rose or Nimmo. I'm not asking you even on a hard hit 90 plus exit velo, 2-hopper to second base to haul ass and sprint down the first base line. But you got to at least present it in a way that is, I think, doing right by the game, And listen, the thing, I'll just personalize it very briefly for a moment. The reason why, and that's part of the reason why I've gotten on Cat, not recently, but, when Cat would lay back at the other end and bark at the refs and just jog up the court. Players who show that to me, it is just inherently unacceptable to me because I just was not a great athlete. I just wasn't. I was a good baseball player, but I wasn't fast. Couldn't jump when I played basketball. Defensively, come right at me. On the basketball court. All right, go at him. That's a problem. Kind of like to go at Brunson. Not that I was playing point guard, but the point is, and not to equate myself to somebody like Brunson, it's ridiculous. But because I worked so hard to almost become an average athlete, jump and rope, sprints, running up the hills, all the stuff I would do when I was younger and still playing competitively. When I see guys like Jazz or like Cano, it's just, I can't take it. It drives me insane because you've been given so much and it's hard enough to hit, but it's not hard to run. Like and I've told my son this, who's faster than me, thank God. I mean, it's hard not to be. But, when we were running sprints at the end of practice in college, like I remember in the gym before we would go and start our season, 20-something guys on the team, 23, 24. And I would have to give it literally everything that I had, run as hard as I could to finish like 11th, 12th, and that was always my mindset. It was just always, you got to run hard because if you don't, you basically look like you're running backwards. And if you followed my career, any problem that I've had, usually the first issue is born out of a lack of effort. Receivers half-assing it across the middle, pulling their arms back, just I can't take it. I'm never going to take it. And I watched Jazz, back to that for a minute. And I'm like, man, oh man, God has given you every physical trait, every athletic trait in the book. Like I've said this before, and I've used Tiki as an example, right? So, I mean, I don't really quite look at it this way, but the imagery I think you'll appreciate. J-Rod, to me, when you're born, right, when an athlete's born,
yep,
and you go through the assembly line, like the conveyor belt, and you get stamped with the different athletic characteristics, strength, speed, dexterity, size, all those different things, right? Now, Tiki wasn't tall, but somebody like Tiki was literally given, stamp, 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 and then he comes out, and he had to work his behind off to,
for sure,
to maximize what he was given athletically by God. But to me, I mean, they bypassed me 3 or 4 different. They gave me good size, 6'2.5". They gave me decent strength. Was given good hand-eye coordination. Could really catch and shoot. Couldn't run a lick, so I didn't get that. Or the other way to look at it is when a young athletic baby is born, those who have everything, you're touched by 10 fingers of God. I probably got 6 in terms of like the professional scale. And Jazz was given 10. And, Robinson Cano was basically given, Jazz is a little bit faster, but 9.5. And guys like that dog it or that don't always give you that full bore burst, I will never accept that. And I don't want a lot of guys like that on my team. I just don't,
Yeah, no, big time. All right. So
wow.
I like this little 10 fingers of God thing. So in your kind of theory here,
yes,
is every person at least touched by one?
Oh my God.
Because I'm thinking about myself here. Listen,
that's a good question too.
Not to diminish my athletic prowess and my rec basketball prowess here.
Yep.
But listen, I'm 5'8". My game.
You're 5 foot
I'm not the
nothing.
fastest dude. I had asthma growing up. So my athletic ability was a little stunted. But there may have been one finger. He was like, "Yo,
here's the finger
boy
that you
mid
got.
range.
Here's the finger that you got. To be a good shooter, you need good depth perception.
Yeah.
To me, and that's something that I always had. Like I went out, we were shooting in the yard the other day, and I don't think some of these kids today. I made 3-4 shots in a row. I'm like, when you make a shake, get the ball back, dude. My hands are up. My son's dribble. I'm like, dude, let's go. Make it. You make it, you get it again. and I drilled like 13 in a row. Now it's a soft rim, and it's legitimately 10 feet high. Yeah. And I was just splashing and not even jumping, just flicking. Like that's a depth perception thing. That's a connectivity, like the hands, maybe the feet when you're actually playing and jumping and shooting.
For sure.
I would say that if you're as good a mid-range shooter as you profess to be.
I don't think I'm Sean Livingston or anything here.
Good ball.
But I'm pretty in terms of a person who never played any sort of school basketball whatsoever. I'm pretty decent.
Okay, I would say you got at least a couple. Now, also listen, there's a lot of kids who are really fast. Whose parents just didn't really, because maybe they didn't play and they didn't emphasize sports, weren't introduced to whatever game it might be. And that speed and maybe potentially strength ratio as they hit puberty and as they become more physically built and well-rounded, it never really had a chance to shine. So you might look at a kid who plays no sports. He may have been touched by 5 or 6 fingers, but
you just never know.
Never got a chance to tap into the well. All right, let me get into this here. So every time I do this, and I'm going to preface it with, I understand how I sound. And I'm also going to say, I don't care how I sound when it comes to this, right? The NFL international schedule is an absolute joke. And listen, the reason it's a joke is because each year, and I'm going to document all this in a minute, but just the initial premise, each year they just screw you more and more and more. So we are getting ready with the schedule release. By the way, Jay, just get that Jets Collective thing back. No, I'm sorry. That's my Jets Collect. There you go. Look, ooh, quick, nice. So that's the schedule drop for the Jets coming up Thursday, right around 8:05. Myself, Jake, and Rich will hit the Jet stuff. But big picture, all right? We are getting ready for a record-setting 9 games on the international circuit with the NFL this year. 7 countries and 4 continents. 7 countries and 4 continents. Football is becoming soccer, and that's not good. See, the problem is nobody says it. People just accept it. Oh, wow, that's cool. There's a game in Australia. How is that cool? And I love Australia. I love it. Like, this is not a knock on the different countries. Please understand that. But why in the world is this good? And don't tell me, oh, it's about making money. Don't you think that I know that? I understand. That's the part of the reason why this draws my ire. Because it's become all about money. So this year, J-Rod, they're playing. Get this up on the map, can you? On the screen, the map here. Look at this, guys. Now, cool graphic, by the way. Look at the international games. We're going to Melbourne, Australia. We're going to Paris, France. We're going to Rio de Janeiro. Great if you want to hit the beach. I don't know if you really want to watch football in Brazil. I'd like the London games, actually. I thought that was good. So that's not a knock on my man ST out there. No, I think that works out very well. Going to Munich, Germany, going to Madrid, Spain, going to keep this up, going to Mexico City. Now, understand this. The NFL is becoming more and more and more brazen and comfortable with doing whatever they want to you. Whether it's up Thursday night. Hey, we got a big matchup on Thursday. You want to watch the game? Got to stream it. We got a big matchup. Christmas Day, too bad. You better wrap up Christmas morning with Santa or Christmas brunch. We got football to watch. Here comes late in the season. We got some Saturday games for you as well. Oh, the kids have basketball games. Oh, the kids have a dance. Kid has a recital. Too bad. Your team's playing on Saturday. We got Sunday night. We got Monday night. We got Thursday night. We got all day Saturday late in the year. We got all Sunday, which is awesome. And then, of course, Sunday night, which is equally awesome. But the way this is, just look at that map. What are we talking about here? We're talking about soccer, or is this the NFL? And think about what you don't know it, but I'm telling you, are the experimental lab rat when it comes to the NFL. So the international games were born back in 2005. All right, let's stick our toe in the pool, throw a little line out there, see if we get a little nibble, and it worked out pretty well. They had one back in 2005. And I don't even remember the reason, but in 2006, they had none. Okay. Then they went back to it in 2007. They had one. Then in 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, there were 2. So they went from 1 to 2. Oh, we can make money. Oh, people aren't really resisting it. Oh, look at this. Then in 2013, 14, and 15, they went to 3. So there's more. And then 2016, there were 4 international games. And then guess what? In 2017, they stuffed 5 down your throat. And then for, I don't even know the reasons, then they went back to 3 and 3. And then, of course, 2020 was COVID. And then in 2021, the slow crawl out of COVID, there was only 2. And then they jumped right back into it. In 2022, there were 4. In 2023, there were 5. In 2024, there were 5. In 2025, last year, there were 7. And now there are 9. There are 9. 9. So who is this helping? It's not helping you if you're an American football fan. It's just not. Matter of fact, it's hurting you, and I'll tell you why. And I use the word brazen, and this is what's really bothering me. Like, I understand part of the motivation to send the Jaguars to London is, and all respect to Duval, right? You guys are going to be good this year. I'm not knocking the Jaguars, but the London Jaguars experiment was based on, number one, the situation of the Jacksonville Jaguars, which was fairly dire. Number two, the international business interest of their owner, but also the intense motivation to globalize the sport and, what do you know, make more money. All right, we all know that, right? But it worked out. It worked out. And I do like the London games because it's there for you. You get up early. The game was 9 o'clock, 9. Yeah, it would be or is it 10? I think it's 9. Either way, if you want to get up and watch it, I don't mean if your team's playing. You want to watch it, get a little scratch on the game. You got a couple of guys going fantasy. It's cool. It's there if you want it. The kids are running around. You got stuff to do. You go to church, whatever it is. It's there if you want it. And I like that. Cup of coffee, watch the game if it's a decent game. But where they're going now is just an embarrassment. And it's further evidence that they just couldn't care less about you. And like zombies walking off the plank with our arms out, we just keep, the expression boot to ass when you beat somebody in basketball. Knicks dropped a lot belts to ass, right? A lot of BTAs the last couple of weeks here. This is BTAs a football fan because the more they do now, what's it going to look like in 10 years? There's 9 international games. Do you suddenly think that they're going to recalibrate and say, you know what? I think we have enough, despite the fact that we've made, $1.9 trillion more dollars as we expand the game. Let's pull back. Nope, there's going to be 18 or 20. The Super Bowl at some point. Book it. Mark my words. Going to be an international affair. Now, it's one thing when the entire world watches the game, but it's on our soil. It's another when it's not, and that's coming. That is just a matter of time. You can take that to the bank. I promise you the Super Bowl will be played on non-domestic soil a lot sooner than you think. And here's what's happening too, right? So in 2024, the Packers-Eagles were in Brazil. Last year, the Chargers and the Chiefs were in Brazil. This year, week 1 in Australia, you've got the Rams and the Niners. Now, think of it. It's one thing to have games internationally, which I'm okay with in a limited dose. What they're doing now is taking rivalries and putting them there. Dude, it doesn't matter who plays in Australia. You could send the Jets, who are awful, and the Browns, who are equally awful. They're going to sell out. Do you have to take, going back the last couple of years, the Packers who lost a home game? Think about what the NFL did. They willingly took a home game from fabled Lambeau, and I've been to Lambeau, and it is amazing, from fabled Lambeau Field and gave it to Brazil. Why? And they took I think it was a Chiefs game. I could be wrong. So if so, I don't want to be unfair, but I thought it was a Chiefs home game. I thought they took one from Arrowhead last year when the Chiefs and the Chargers, may have been LA. Either way, it's a rivalry. It's a divisional matchup. You only get X amount you get 6. So if you want to do this, don't do so many. If you want to do this, don't deprive some of the fans of some of the best venues and traditions in the NFL. And if you're going to do this, certainly don't take it a rivalry game and throw it on foreign soil where you gotta deal with different. Australia, think about the different time zone. Think about the logistics to go play in Australia. Think about that. This week, Rams Niners. That game, now this might seem a little hyperbolic, but it's not big picture. That game very well could determine, home field advantage or who wins the division. in the NFC West. And it's going to Australia? Why? Somebody explain. Well, the answer is money, which goes back to what I've always said. Greed. What is the limit? How long are we going to be suckers? You know, where's the game tonight? I don't know. Is it on, even with the NBA? Is it on Yankees opening day? Netflix, Yankees Giants. Ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da. Welcome to opening day on Netflix. And I love Netflix. Not a knock on Netflix. It's just a commentary on the stripping away of fundamental traditions that are happening more and more and more. Let me just say that again. The Rams and the Niners, not the Rams and the Raiders, or the Jets and the Niners, or, take some other team that is, not very good late. We all know the bad team. The Cardinals, not the Cardinals and the Browns in Australia. If you're going to give them something bad. Don't give them our best stuff. And then you talk about a competitive disadvantage where you literally lose a home game. So logistically, it's an issue. And, residually downstream, it could really alter and impact the pecking order of the NFL. And don't tell me that I'm overreacting. Like, if you want to be just some sort of zombie who accepts all this, well, that's on you. That's never been me. Like, somebody's got to stand up for the fan. Somebody's got to stand up for the consumer. Who built the NFL? We did. Maybe I didn't, but my ancestors did, and so did yours, And I understand things change, but just the limits of what they are willing to do to you and us, it's off the charts unacceptable. 9 international games. 9. And then you don't even know if and I promise you, because we've heard this before, the conditions aren't great. The field was slippery. Oh, I wonder why. Because they're not used to doing this. And they don't care. Not at all. They are just giving you, which finger. Bang. They're shoving it right down your throat. Here's more. Here, how much you going to take? Here's more. More. Up, sucker. Keep swiping that card. Get the new jersey. Get the fourth jersey, the alternate jersey. Pay $100 for parking. Spend $7,000 to go to. Now, some of these countries are beautiful. And again, it's not a knock on the countries. It's really not. But I don't know why the NFL is so fixated on turning their sport into soccer. Somebody explain this to me. Why? It is patently offensive at this point. At least for me. Or kids even playing American football in Europe. It's grown a little bit, even when the Yankees and the Red Sox went to London, and the Mets and the Phillies, and I do think personally that Japan's different because baseball thrives in Japan. And when Major League Baseball goes to Japan, they're usually sending somebody like a Hideki Matsui or Shohei Ohtani. You're connecting the thread of cultures and the game, even though the languages, and they play a little bit differently, in terms of style and, putting the bat on the ball. Definitely a broad brush statement, but more fundamentally buttoned up in Japan than here. Everybody's swinging for the moon. Like back in Japan, still, you strike out, you walk back to the dugout in shame, like we used to. I just struck out. Wow. I remember when I would strike out, which was a lot in college, like I felt like I wanted to crawl in a hole. Now these guys strike out, take off the elbow guard, flip the helmet, take off the gloves, let the bat boy come get it, first base coach, flip the bat. No big deal. I struck out 193 times this year. Struck out 177 times this year. My K rate's 33. Not to get into baseball again because this is about football, but it's really a great commentary about sport. The NBA does it. Now, I really don't care. I don't care when the NBA does it as much. I don't know why. Maybe because home court advantage is less important. Although NFL home field advantage, it's a little misstated how beneficial it is, over the year. Like the stats have dropped a little bit, favoring the home team. It's a little bit more even, a little bit. But I'm talking about traditions. Like So you get, with a 17-game season, you either get 9 home games or you get 8. Now, why in the world should the Packer fans or the Chief fans, I'm thinking about some of the great fan bases, the Bills fans, the Niner fans, Giant fans, Eagle fans, Cowboy fans, why should they be deprived of their normal routine? Getting in their car, going to the stadium, tailgating for 3 hours, wearing their gear, and walking into their stadium. They got to get on a plane, and they got to go to Brazil? They got to go to Australia? What in the world is going on with this? I don't know. I got to ask J-Rod's opinion on this here, because, Jay, you have grown up in a world where this is kind of all you know, international games. So I highly doubt that you've got as much of an issue as I do with this, because I've got a massive issue.
Sure.
But I'm curious what your take is with this.
Well, I think you're right. And I think, the reason it doesn't matter as much for basketball as well is obviously because the season is just so much longer, or not so much longer, but there's so many games played. So, you play one game versus the 76ers in London, and it doesn't really impact, your team's record or anything like that. Meanwhile, with the NFL, obviously, much shorter season, so it really does matter. And I think that's where my thought lies, is very similar to yours, where it's like, for the NFL, maybe they shouldn't be doing these things because, it really impacts the home fan base. And yeah, while there are obviously international fans, I mean, you can see from our boy ST, like, people do love it.
Absolutely.
Overseas.
And yeah, I do like the London experience. I do, but it's just too much. I mean, we're just dotting the entire world now with NFL.
I saw a good comment from our boy F Your Couch. He said, like, what if they did like an international week? So where they kind of consolidate it into 1 week, where it's not real, where it doesn't dominate a spread of the season, but maybe you have a bunch of games in different countries still, but it's over 1 week rather than
that's actually
kind of disperse. So I thought that was a smart idea.
I agree.
Because I mean, I think, and I think for baseball, do they not to ask a silly question here.
Yeah.
Do they play international MLB games during
I know you were looking something up. So obviously they go to Japan, they go to London, they've done Australia. I remember when they went to Australia, that is the plane flight where Clayton Kershaw where his back, this Dodger fans will remember this. Giant, I mean, every baseball fan, if you're a big baseball fan, you remember it, where they may have been playing the D-backs, but the flight to Australia, that's when he started to really complain about his back issue.
Wow.
And the back issue was Clayton Kershaw is still one of the best lefties of all time. He probably left 50 wins on the table because he missed so much time. Man. And a lot of people look at that flight to Australia. So, yeah, the MLB's messed around with it, but when you play 162 or 82 in the NBA or the NHL, and I'm not averse to like an exhibition contest. I know that you want to plant roots and grow the game. I get it. And then when they do this, they do a lot of good things around it, where they'll have NFL alums go and do like clinics and showcases. And then, when down the road, kids start playing a little bit. They start watching. The world has become smaller by the year. I understand all this. I'm not resistant to, expanding a little bit, but I got to have my limits here, because, this is also preemptively trying to at least address, because I can't prevent it. I could just tell you what I think about what is going to happen down the road. Just look at the trends. This started in 2005. There was 1, and then it went up to 5 in 2017. Then it went up to 7 last year. Now it's 9. I mean, if you think that it's going to remain at 9 for perpetuity, you're an idiot.
Going more than that.
There's going to be 15 before you look up.
I mean, there's going to be a certain point where every team has one. Easy.
Yeah.
Something like that. But in the Super Bowl take, I mean, you're so right. Like,
that's definitely going to happen.
It's coming within maybe the next 10 years. I mean, I don't know if that's too ridiculous to state. But I think a Mexico City one, I think a lot. London's rough. I don't know. That's rough. I think they could do it, but I don't know if it has that much European boom as much as, like, I think Mexico City is South America. There's still little America's kind of familiarity with the sport. So I think maybe in one of those countries it'd be better.
Here's my luck. Watch. This what's going to happen, right? This is what's going to happen to me. Jets going to make the Super Bowl and going to be in fucking Australia, and I can't even go. Jets will finally make the Super Bowl, and instead of playing like in Indianapolis or out in Scottsdale, Arizona, or the rest of the rotation, I'm going to have to go to Australia, which means I probably won't go.
That would be horrible.
I mean, that's what's going to happen. You think Joe B's going to get on a plane to go to Brazil?
No, no shot. No shot.
Give me a break with this, man. And really, I need to reinforce one thing here. Like, there's a couple of issues at play. Number one is just the sheer amount, the mass volume of international games. Problem number one. Problem number two, and to me, this is beginning to usurp problem number one, is now they are taking rivalry games and putting them there. Think about this. Now, all right, you want to tell me that the Packers and the Eagles aren't a rivalry? Not in the same division. It's not like the Giants and the Cowboys or the Cowboys and the Eagles. All right, the Commanders and Dallas. I understand that. But the Packers and the Eagles have as rich tradition as anybody in the NFL, right? You put them in Brazil to open the season. So Eagle fans, Packer fans, going through the draft and going through OTAs and all the other stuff and following free agency and going through training camp. Hey, week one, let's go. You sit down. The game's in fucking Brazil. The game's in Brazil, right? And then the next year, you got the Chargers and the Chiefs. Now, maybe the Chiefs and the Raiders has a little bit more static, a little bit more whatever, a little more friction, a little more historical context there. Well, I mean, the Chargers have been around forever in the AFL, so maybe not. But the point is, last year, it's the Chargers and the Chiefs. It's not even the Chargers and the Browns or the Chargers and the Arizona Cardinals. It's the Cardinals and the Chiefs. Now, this year, it's the Rams and the 49ers. The two best teams in the NFC. Well, I mean, Seattle actually won the Super Bowl, but you know what I mean. I mean, two of the best teams in football and two teams that deserve this to be played on American soil. You're taking one of those two games. You play twice. You play twice. It's like the old days in baseball where you play everybody 19 times, Yanks play the Orioles 19 times, Yankees, Red Sox 19 times. Like, they've kind of mixed up with the schedule now. But you get two matchups. One is in Australia. It's just ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. Guys, I got to be honest with you here. I don't understand why more of you aren't bothered by this. How big of a sucker are you? And I say that coming from a friendly place. I'm not trying to antagonize you, and I'm certainly not trying to diss our international friends. I'm really not. And I know that I said that at the top of this, but like, that's important. Or I'd love to go to Australia on a safari, like on the Outback trip, I'd love to go to Rio de Janeiro, and walk around. Well, I'm not going to walk around in a banana hammock, but like those bikinis that are like the width of a dental floss. Sure. I'd go to Rio. Now I'm a married man, but I'd love to go to Rio de Janeiro. When are we going? Bachelor's party. Let's go. Boys trip. Let's go to Brazil. Love to do that. Love to go to Munich, Germany, right? One of my favorite countries in Epcot. I love Epcot. I don't love Disney that much, but I love Epcot. And is Germany. Like, get the Stein of beer. You take the little boat ride. Love to go to Munich, Germany. A little Oktoberfest. Be great. Knock back some good beer. Be awesome. I've been to Mexico many times. Beautiful. Stayed at some amazing resorts. Spent New Year's Eve there. We're rang in the New Year in Mexico once, right? But awesome. Been there 2-3 times. Great. Almost went. This is a funny story. Madrid. Now, I always talk about my very unimpressive scholastic record.
Sure. Yep.
For whatever reason, I was really good in Spanish. Okay. I was it rolled off the tongue, and it just made sense to my brain. And obviously, once you learn how to conjugate all the verbs and you just know the words, I mean, but then you've got to be able to do it somewhat fluently. And I mean, I was, my grades, they were what they were. But my junior year in high school, I was actually asked to go abroad to Madrid.
Holy, did you go?
No, it was during baseball season. I couldn't. I was getting recruited.
Dang.
There's no way I was going to, But I'd love to go. Like, if I wasn't an athlete, I would have loved to have gone to Madrid all those years ago. I'd love to go to Madrid now. My mom's got probably, it's called the Lladro, Lladro. You got to make the L sound like the Y. You know how that is. Got to accent the proper Lladro, right? Got to roll the R. And like it's Yadro is it's like is it like a ceramic
It's like a collectible company. It's
yeah, my mom's got a ton. Very valuable, beautiful. I'd love to go to Madrid, bring a couple of Yadros back for my mom. I don't want to go to Madrid to watch a football game. Just don't.
No way.
Running with the Bulls. Get the sword. Get it out. Let's see who's going to win. Is the Bull going to win, or is the other guy, the whatever you call that guy, the Matador, right? Who's going to win? Is he going to get spiked, and is the Bull going to win, or is he just going to keep shoving that sword in his side until he dies a slow death? Which, by the way, is really ridiculous. My sister did the running of the Bulls.
No way.
She did. Like, you're insane. So this is where I stand on this stuff, man. And I'm not trying to come across as the narrow-minded, like the American lout who just doesn't see the big picture. I think that I'm fairly sophisticated, not overly, but fairly, just enough to pass, to get by. And I certainly think that I understand business, and I know I understand how the fans think because I am one. And I just, there was the lack of resistance to this is just incredibly disappointing. I don't get it. Getting worked up here. I dropped my glasses. All right. Don't want to burst this date and time, 2379. Don't want to burst the Jets bubbles, but dude, you can't. No matter what you say, the bubble's been burst. All right. The Jets will move to London. Get the hell out of here. Stop. Long-term bet. All right. I mean, I wonder what the odds are. I mean, you're throwing a little future. I mean, listen, if it's plus 7,000, I might throw $100 on that. I mean, listen, if they're not winning by then, I won't give a shit where they go. I don't think I'll care. So maybe you're not crazy. And there has been a little bit of thought of that. Woody, obviously under the first Trump administration was out there. Who the hell knows what his other business. I just hope Woody doesn't own the team by then. So hopefully maybe Cohen owns it. And Cohen just wants to build some more casinos around MetLife, and the Jets are here to stay. Or maybe they actually move the Jets back to Queens or out east. I don't know. I can't start getting wrapped up in that. Jets are going to move to London, but somebody is. I mean, or there's going to be an expansion team. You know? Oh, man. Pissed off today, Jay.
Yeah, man, that would just stink. You're a player, and it's like, no, not that. I studied for London abroad for like a month, dude. It's like, I think that's the best city.
Did you really?
The best city on earth, but dude, it is incredible out there.
I know.
But to be an NFL player, and like, if all your family's like in America, and all of a sudden you got traded to London, you would just be like, oh man.
Well, think about this. Now, this is down the road. I don't want to get too wrapped up with this now, but. Yeah, I mean, the residual impact of that when it does happen, because it will happen, whether it's the Jets or the Jags or expansion team, it's going to happen. Think about, I would say, a competitive disadvantage for those teams when it comes to free agency.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I mean, big time.
You'd almost have to have a built-in concession, or maybe those international teams get a different salary cap to adhere to based on depending upon where you are and the translation of the dollar. There's so much shit to get into. I don't want to get into it now. But it's just, yeah, man, it bothers me to my core. It's happening more and more and more and more and more. And like suckers and like zombies, too many of you take it. So I'm done with my spiel on that. I knew I was going to empty the tank on that a little bit. I had to empty the chamber. Every time this comes up, I don't care what, even when I was doing this. Now, Tiki didn't care as much, right? Tiki was thinking about it from business. And I'm like, I get the business point, Tiki. I'm not an idiot. I get it. I get the business. But whenever this comes up, and I started digging my heels in on this, you could go find some stuff doing the national stuff with Tiki. Probably about a decade, not quite with this fervent pushback. But I was always a little resistant to it, whether it was a logistical disadvantage or whatever it might be. It's just too much. The gluttony in sports. I don't need to keep going. You guys know where I stand. You know what I said. And by the way, if you disagree, I'm open to a little dialogue here. I mean, I'm not saying that my way's got to be right for everybody, but I'm telling you unequivocally, my way is right for me. That is for damn sure, especially with this. Jay.
You're big time.
All right. So what else we got? Thank you to the Cavaliers last night. They can. Yeah, let's go. Stretch it out, baby. Stretch it out.
It's nice. Boys. It is nice. I mean, especially, now it really opens up the possibility for it to really go 7. Not the probability, the likelihood of this series going 7. And I mean, I guess you said it kind of yesterday. If OG was fully healthy, maybe you don't like it as much, but the fact that he's a little banged up, you like the extra rest that they're getting.
I do.
The Knicks.
I love it. I mean, first of all, OG, listen, say if the Knicks would have lost game 4, I think, I'm not saying I would have, I think there was a chance they were going to run him out there in game 5. Hopefully Prudence would have won out. So I don't know. We'll never know because they just broomed them and we never got a chance to know, which is a good thing.
It wasn't even close.
There wasn't, dude. But listen, OG should be fine. I mean, he's had a lot of time. It was not a severe, it was like the lowest grade spread, the grade, I always get confused. Grade 1, I know there's 3 grades. 3 is a complete tear. 3 is the worst or 1's the worst? I think 3 is the worst. Yeah, that's what I thought. So you had a grade 1. The level of severity goes up. 1, basically not a big deal. 2, you're going to be out maybe a month or so, maybe a couple of weeks. And then in grade 3, you got massive problems where you're out for multiple months because it's basically a full rupture or a full disconnect where the hamstring becomes disconnected there. So, and that didn't happen. Thank God. But it pretty much did happen to him a couple of years ago against the Pacers. Even though he came back and he played that game 7 and stuck a 3 to start the game from the corner. This now, to me, the way it sets up, all right, a series obviously tied up at 2. Game 5 is on Wednesday. That's going to be in Detroit. I think the Pistons win that game. Game 6, Friday at the Cavs. I think the Cavaliers win that game. I believe there's going to be 7 games, if necessary, Sunday in Detroit. Either way, now I believe, and it's a little convoluted here because there's still so many possibilities. I don't know if it was updated today, but if let's say it's over Friday. Let's say either one of the 2 teams. It's amazing that we're giving the Cavs now a chance to actually win the series.
I know,
right? So say if the Cavs or the Pistons, I still think it'll be the Pistons, but the Pistons win 2 of the next 2 games. Well, the next game, that will be Friday night. Would they play Monday? Obviously, you're not playing Saturday. I don't think you're playing Sunday. And I think it would be Monday. Like I had one version, but I've got to update it because this is now a little wrinkle, which is great. Either way, massive advantage for the Knicks. And, I thought, listen, just to stick to this series for a minute here, really rough night again.
Slated to start Tuesday.
Oh, Tuesday, no matter what.
Yeah.
No matter what.
No matter what. So if game 7.
Even if there's a game 7,
I believe so, because that would end Sunday, right?
That would end Sunday. Oh man, that's kind of like what
that would be disastrous for whoever wins. My God.
Not for me, it wouldn't be. It would
it'd be incredible for the Knicks.
Well, that would Jay, that would basically be what happened to the Sixers in the Celtics series, where you almost have to flush game 1 down the chute. I think the Pistons are better than the Sixers. I think the Cavs are better than the Sixers. Whatever. They don't have the injury issue like Embiid, and he's obviously a different physical situation. But man, if you're positive that even if there's a game 7, which would be Sunday in Detroit, that game 2, no matter what, starts on game 1 starts in for the Eastern Conference Finals on Tuesday with 1 off day / travel. Oof.
Yeah, I mean, it says May 19th is the date, but if it ended earlier, there would be the expedited date.
That's what I thought.
Doesn't look like it's going to happen on May 17th.
Okay. That's definitely not going to happen there. So there you go. And, now Jay, just get me back up on the one shot real quick, buddy, there. If now you got to start looking here at, can the Cavaliers actually win the series? And, I love Cade Cunningham. He's one of the next absolute true superstars in the NBA, but, he's not there yet. We know that. I don't think the Pistons are there yet in terms of being a championship team. Neither are the Cavs. But the way they defended Cade Cunningham last night made him very, very uncomfortable. First of all, they didn't shoot well. I think it was like 7 for 19, low percentage. But when they kept rolling the double and they were where they were trapping him, along like near the opponent's bench or their bench where he just had nowhere to go. It wasn't necessarily in the middle of the court. It really limited what they could do. Like once he crosses midcourt inside the half court set. They were very opportunistic and very on point running that second defender at him. I don't think he recognized it quickly enough. This is something Brunson deals with. But at 6'5", 6'6", Cunningham could throw over the top on like Jalen. So, he had 5 more turnovers. Mitchell was great. I mean, Mitchell, 40-plus points, whatever it was. And I know Mobley was really, really good. 5 block shots. You don't see that too much outside of Wemby and, maybe. And that's pretty much it. I mean, 5 block shots. Even Mitch doesn't really swat 5. That is a massive number. That's like Hakeem Olajuwon. That's like young Patrick Ewing. That's like Shaq. So I'm not saying Mobley's like that, but they are an interesting team, and they've always been an interesting team. Now, to me, at this point, any team with James Harden on that team is going nowhere. I'm not a James Harden believer. I'm not a James Harden fan. He has been incredibly low efficient. His efficiency's been very low, I should say, this series. And the other day, I don't understand why they were talking about, and listen, I love their coach, Long Island guy. I absolutely love him. They got hosed by the Nets too. And I know why he was doing it, taking the bullet. That would have been after game one? Maybe it was game one. Let me see. Or maybe it was game three. Maybe it was game three. Either way, he was taking the bullets for Harden, saying, he only took 3 shots in the second half. We got to do a better job. Hey, Harden's got to do a better job. I understand what you're doing, coach. I respect that. And that's the mark of, a man trying to shield one of his star players. But does anybody trust James Harden? I mean, certainly at this age. I mean, just go back to when he was still in his prime. I mean, the guy was terrified to take shots against the Warriors. If you watch those series, I mean, he was just passing up open looks. I'm just not a Harden guy. Not. Great skill, great pure scorer, great pure 3-level scorer, can shoot from range, can get to the rim, and obviously, you got some mid-range work as well. But I mean, if it's the Cavaliers, I prefer to play the Cavaliers myself. And I just think that the Knicks bigs would push around their bigs who are still a little bit young. Certainly Mobley. Allen's been around a while. Great respect for Donovan Mitchell, and Mitchell in the Garden, and we saw it on Christmas, is a little bit worrisome. New York kid coming home and, okay, you really want to mess around with that potential magic from him. But I'd rather play the Cavaliers. I think every Knicks fan would and should. But I don't know. I mean, you flip a coin. If you tell me at this point the Cavaliers are going to win, I don't even know what the odds are. Jay, do me a favor. I could do this. I'll probably get this quicker. I would say I have not looked at the odds for the rest of the series. I would say that the Pistons are minus 170 if I had to take a guess. Pistons, Cavs, remaining odds. I'm going to say about 170.
Minus 125.
Oh, that's it? Wow. Yeah. No, I'm seeing, all right, minus 160. I'm seeing different books, different numbers. Yeah, a little bad on my end, and I'm usually good with those numbers there. Wow. And now what are by contrast, what would the Cavaliers be on the plus side? Would they about plus 105? Cavaliers are plus 105?
That's what it says from
win the series?
Easy Central.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Interesting. Nobody really knows what's going on with that series, so you got to protect the VIG. You got to keep it kind of close.
Yeah, big. I mean,
all right. What else we got here? We may have watched LeBron's last game. Not that I watched it last night. May have been last night.
What do you think on that? It's tough because and I've heard it from Lakers fans and I've heard it from Warriors fans a little bit with Steph and Draymond now, where it's just like. It's tough because you keep LeBron, and obviously, even if you're not giving him super max $67 million a season, whatever,
Yep.
you still got to give him a sizable chunk of change to keep him on your team.
No, you don't. He could take the mid-level. Why not?
Do you think he would?
I don't know, but he could. I mean, if he really wants to keep playing, really wants to win, he certainly could. See, to me, I don't know if he will, but he could. I mean, he can take the mid-level exception. Can absolutely do that.
I don't, and I listen. This guy's like my favorite player ever. But
he's such a big LeBron guy.
I'm from 2002. Dude.
I know. I'm just teasing, dude. I get it. I get it. I respect it. I get you.
But I just don't see him as the kind of guy to take less money than like $30 million. Like that just doesn't hit me as a LeBron move.
I know.
And I don't necessarily think it's because he's full of himself or something like that. He doesn't hit me as the guy currently who's going to compromise money in hopes of winning. I think he's past winning. I don't think he cares at all about winning.
I don't. You're going to make me defend LeBron. I think that's unfair.
Really?
Listen, I know he's still padding the stats. And I think that in his mind, every time he, establishes a new record, and the more he plays, the more records he's busting. In his mind, that's the way he justifies the GOAT conversation.
Yeah.
Because now, you know what I mean? There's tangible numbers. And, you grew up, you're a LeBron guy. I grew up, I'm an MJ guy, right? And I think that the next generation, and certainly the generation after that, where there's always somebody else that's going to come along the way that's going to at least insert themselves into the conversation. We all know that, no matter what the sport is. But down the road, multiple generations down the road, there's going to be tangible evidence to easily support that LeBron's the greatest of all time. Now, I don't think he is. I've said that many times. I think it's MJ. I think Kareem's better. LeBron's in my top 5. I would look at Magic and Bird as well. You want to look at a Russell, you want to look at a Wilt, whatever. I'm not to even get into that list right now. But the thing is, when you open up the NBA record books digitally, you can do it now, but especially down the road. I mean, if you never saw LeBron play, or you're young now and you saw him at the end of his career, like I saw the end of Kareem and the end of Dr. J, very end of Dr. J, well, now you're going to lean on some numbers to support your case because you never saw Jordan. Yeah. And if you didn't see Jordan, Jordan's not the all-time leading scorer. Jordan doesn't have the playoff marks and records and accumulation of minutes and stats and triple doubles and all the things LeBron's done. Now, that's been a product of a few things. Number one, LeBron's great. Number two, LeBron has been incredibly durable. And number three, he's played more than anybody. I mean, 23 years, 22, 23 years. Yeah. He's 40. He's got the body of a 29-year-old. That's absolutely amazing. And he could still play. And Jay, here's why I think that there's a chance that he does take the mid-level. Actually, let me roll through this here. I want to get into this right now. Sure. So to me, I look at this that just get me up on the sing. I want to be able to get this. Yeah, thank you, buddy. Not to get rid of Jay, but I want to got to pump out the content later. You know what I'm saying, Jay. I love you, buddy.
I got you.
I think there's a couple of ways to look at it. There's 3 basic questions, and I'll try to walk through this. Number 1, will he play? Number 2, can he still play? Number 3, where should he play? Will he play? Now, I did watch his press conference this morning after last night's game. I didn't watch the game. It wasn't even on my radar, quite frankly. I was watching the Yankees fall apart in the bullpen. Both of my kids had games, so I really didn't care about LeBron. I knew they're going to lose. Series is over. So, but I wanted to hear what he said after the game. And he talked, and this I get. He talked about the process. He talked about the commitment. See, I think that, some of you probably think that LeBron, works out in the offseason, does a little stretching, comes to the arena, plays ball, and then he's just a superhero. It's not the case. LeBron, now maybe this is a bit of an embellishment, but he said, hey, we have an 11 o'clock practice. I'm at the building at 8 o'clock in the morning, basically getting my body ready. It's like the old Camaro in the garage. Like, it needs a lot of tune-ups, man. It might look good, but you got to make sure that thing's got everything. I'm not a big car guy, so I'm not sure. Proper oil, whatever, even though it's much deeper than that. The fan belts still work, and to get those fan belts working, you got to get those wrenches out earlier. And it's a deep dive. It's an intense stretching routine. It's an intense workout routine. And I'm beginning to see signs. So the first question, will he play? I could be wrong. I think I'm starting to see signs that I think LeBron right now is leaning more toward not playing. And I get it. Like, you start to see LeBron play a lot of golf. And you just got to wonder, like, it didn't, he got to play with his son, didn't really work out. Not to take a shot at Bronny, but that happened, check. He's got all his championships, check. He's got all the records, check. So, legacy secure. No matter what he does, no matter where he goes, he's never going to be the GOAT in the eyes of many, including me. So he doesn't need to chase that, I don't think. Although I'm going to throw down one little asterisk here and where he could be GOATed by some who could be converted. Not me. I'll get to that in a minute. So will he play? Man, the physical investment that it takes to prepare for a season and the maintenance throughout a season, I think he's probably on the other side. I think he's getting to a point where he's ready to check out of that. I'm not mad at you, man. His body's been a temple. And to keep it looking like that and humming like that and producing like that, you are doing stuff that it's just not many people at this age do anymore, especially in a sport like basketball. I mean, it's one thing to be, like in your late 40s, you're a golfer. You can still crank it off the tee. Even like Freddie Couples showing up at the Masters day one. I know I think he took an 8 on one of the holes this year. But even in his 60s, I mean, over the last 10 years, Freddie Couples shows up, booms on the first page of the leaderboard, dropping a 65. And then as the weekend goes on, he stalls out, he fades out because he's older, and his body can't quite do it. You could do it in golf. You could even be a quarterback, and the way the rules are set up. And, if you're a pocket guy, you're not going to get hit. If you've got the right coaching, you got a good old line, you're going to run the ball a little bit, you're going to have some windows to throw. You could still do that, like Brady and Peyton and many others as well. And Drew Brees played for a long time. Tough to do that in the NBA. I think even in hockey, you could probably get away with it. Like Ray Bork played forever. How about that? Impressed with the hockey knowledge there, Jay. In hockey, you could do it. I think in baseball, if you were a relief pitcher like Mariano, or even a starter like Clemens, although Clemens was, doing some other stuff. But Nolan Ryan, if you're a baseball position player and you're a middle of the diamond, shortstop, center field kind of guy, maybe you move to a corner, maybe you move to third, maybe you move to first, maybe you're just a DH. It is hard to hide in the NBA. Now he's not playing defense with any sort of purpose at this point. He's just not. But he's still running, a ton of miles a night. They track this stuff, and his top rate of speed is still really good, and he could still finish at the rim, man. He's still good. And to be able to do that, what you're asking your body to do, how realistic is it? How much? And it's realistic if he does what he always does in preparation and the maintenance throughout. But back to the first question, will he play? I'm kind of leaning toward no, all right? But let's suspend that for a moment. Let's have the conversation. What if my answer was yes? Well, now the question is number two, can he still play? And the answer is absolutely, undeniably yes. And he talked about this last night where he's turned into the third option. And, I always thought there was a second and a third act for LeBron where the offense isn't running through him. It's going to run through Luka, going to run through Reeves. So he's had a lot, even though Luka's banged up, but he's had time this year where he's been the third option. And he said he welcomed it. It was a nice change. And I respect that, right? I don't think LeBron needs to take 30 shots. I don't think he needs to be the man. I'm going to defend him a little bit here. I think his IQ and his commitment to the sport has always been great. And I think he's a great team player. I don't know if I'm going to say he's a great teammate because I think he's got a lot of guys run out of town. He's got a lot of coaches fired. There's been a lot of manipulation behind the scenes. But I think if you're good in LeBron's book, I think he's a great teammate. That's what I would say. All right. So can he still play? Is obviously yes. You can put him. He can play to 4. If you want to be small and with the right situation, he can play to 5 against certain teams. So yes, he could still play. Now, if I think he's going to play, which I don't, but for now I'm going to say that he is, and I already told you that he absolutely could play if he wants to. Where should he play is the third and final question. I jotted down a couple of teams for you. Cavaliers, to me, would be a great story. I think that would be awesome. I really do. Go back home, finish up at home. The hometown kid, the kid from Akron, be a phenomenal story. You already won the championship there, so the pressure, it's just not quite as intense. Go out. The adulation and the symmetry and the full circle moment would be, it would be all time. And I'm not even a big LeBron fan. It would be great. Like if LeBron comes back and is on the Cavs next year, when he's introduced, you would imagine he played home next year, like the home opener. Oh, my God. And then like the retirement tour is when he checks out of the game, his last game at home. Like it would just be all-time stuff. So I would be up for that. Maybe mess around and go to Golden State. They're past, that's kind of shut. Now, does he open their window? Yeah, he does. Certainly opens it more. Maybe there's another power move that they can make. I don't know. Maybe Giannis. Who the hell knows? If Giannis and LeBron go to Golden State, that would be interesting, right? I'm going to get to the Knicks in a moment. I think he's gone from the Lakers. I think that ship has sailed. I think he's done. I think they're done with him. I heard some people say yesterday, I don't see this as much. It would be interesting. Denver, you pair him with Jokic, who's a great passer, great big, that two-man game, the way that they could play off of each other would be, in the basketball sense, really appealing. Now, does he want to play 41 games in the altitude, which is a real thing? Probably not. And Colorado's a beautiful state, and Denver's a great city, great sports city. Does he want to go to Denver? I don't know. All right, so that brings us to the Knicks here. And he's always waxed poetic about the Knicks. We know this, right? But also, like many, didn't have the guts to come to the Knicks when the Knicks needed help. So I got no interest in LeBron coming to the Knicks. I'm not even going to dance around this. I've said this before. I don't want him on the Knicks, right? Don't want him. The only way that I would be even remotely open to it is if the Knicks win the championship this year and then LeBron wants to join the party. Oh, now you want to take the mid-level exception? You want to take a little bit more than that? That's fine. We'll figure it out. All right, you can come in. But if the Knicks don't win the championship, Let's say they win the Eastern Conference Finals against whomever they play, and let's say they lose in 5 or 6 to the Thunder, right? With T-Will, whatever. But they don't win. I don't need LeBron coming in the side door, the glory hound, and then somehow the Knicks win the championship with LeBron, and then I am beholden to LeBron James for the rest of my basketball existence. I want no part of that. I would rather lose. You will not believe me when I tell you this. I promise you, I would rather lose with my dignity. And I've been all over Cat this year, not the last month or two, but this year and last year, been all over him. I'd rather go now firing with Cat and obviously Brunson and even Bridges and obviously OG and all those dudes next year, maybe a slight alteration to the bench, right? Then have LeBron James come to the Knicks and they win their first championship since 1973. I got to see the powder. I got to see LeBron, everybody kissing his ass. Not interested. Do not want it. I would rather be championship-less than have LeBron come and save the Knicks. And if you don't believe me, then you don't know me. I promise you, that is how I feel. Because, I went through this song and dance. Not once, twice. Maybe LeBron coming to the Knicks. The antennas are up. I'm all excited. Knicks suck. Let's go, LeBron. And I was a huge LeBron James fan. He turned me off. He turned me off with some certain stuff the last decade or so. I'm not going to get into it. And I do respect him. I do. I don't hate LeBron. But I don't want him coming in to be the savior. If we're going to win, we're going to win with Brunson. We're going to win with Jalen. And he's going to be on that float. And the rest of the dudes lining up behind him. Right? That's what I want to happen. And listen, I really, 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 really don't think that you believe me when I say that I would rather lose with dignity than win with him. I'm not saying he has no dignity, but I just don't want him swooping in as the last second hero and forever having to say, oh, thank God the almighty basketball king, LeBron James, has come to the Garden. He has saved us. I'd rather lose in round 2. I would rather lose in round 2. I think I'm in the minority on that. I know Knicks fans are desperate. Beningo saw 69 and 73. I would love to know what he thought about, like what his opinion on this would be. I don't know. I mean, not that I really care in terms of changing my opinion, but I am curious how the Knicks fans, and I don't mean the front runners or, the guy just get parachuted in. I mean those of us who are in the trenches with the Knicks, even when they're shit, like I've been. Okay? That's what I want. That's what I feel. So number 1, will he play? I'm leaning no. I'm going to say, give you a little percentage here, J-Rod. I'm going to say right now, I would say 65, 35% no. Can he play? 100%, no doubt. Respect there, of course. Where should he play? Go back to the Cavs. Second best situation, Golden State. I mean, I'll tell you, like I can throw other teams on the board too. Like, hey, not that I really want this because while I don't,
Golden State would be horrific.
Yeah. Well,
man.
think about this. We were talking about this yesterday. Like, what do the Sixers do? Embiid is on the books for big money next year, the year after, and the year after that for $64.5 million. So there's only, and you got Maxey, obviously, you got Edgecombe, who's a young buck, love him. Yep. George is getting old. We know their team, right? No bench. I mean, imagine if LeBron's like, no, I'll go there for the mid-level exception. Now that would be a problem. But I'd rather deal with that problem than have him swoop in and win and forever have to bow down and kiss the Nike
big time
James wears. Not interested in doing that.
And even if he went to the Golden State Warriors, I don't foresee anything. I think that franchise is cooked. I guess I understand why you bring Steve Kerr back. And I think that 2-year contract extension really signifies a lot for that franchise because it shows Steph Curry's likely got 2 years left. Draymond Green's likely got 2 years left. Obviously, Steve Kerr's got 2 years left. And then it's likely wraps.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Draymond's just about on the way out. Did you see Draymond at the Kevin Hart?
This is an interesting one, but the team's just not good enough. Dallas?
Nah.
City-wise, it would maybe work out, but...
Great city.
Yeah, team-wise, I mean, LeBron and Cooper flag, that's not getting you anything yet.
No. Nah, did you see mentioned Draymond? Did you see Draymond and the roast to Kevin Hart the other day?
Yeah, that was...
Did you watch the whole thing?
I didn't watch the whole thing. I've seen bits and pieces. Man, they go hard at those things. I mean, obviously I watch it, but like some of the jokes, I mean, I the crazier you get, the funnier I think it is. But some of it is actually like, whoa, like you could joke about that and people are all right with it.
All right. No, I don't know. I mean, I've got thick skin. Really, at the end of the day, I really just don't give a shit what people say about me. I think I did at one point. I've said that before. I haven't for a long time, except the people that I really care about and people who really know my character, right? Everybody else, a dime a dozen, your opinion, whatever. But to me, I don't know if I would be able to sit there and be the subject of a roast. I don't know if I can do that. Jesus.
Oh man.
I don't know. I think I'd be a good roaster. Oh, man. I think I'd be able to roast people.
You couldn't take it?
That's what the kids say. They go, roasted, whatever like that. That's what the young kids say now. And they do this with the hand. Roasted. No, I mean, to sit there for 2 hours and get shit on, I don't know if sure if I'm not.
I would love it. I would love it if I knew. I would love it if I knew people were going to go that hard. Don't give me some weak jabs like that.
Oh, no, I want the weak jabs.
No, I want to be eviscerated. Like when I get roasted, tear me to bits, bro.
Really?
Like maybe that's a little sadistic of a thing, but like
I respect it.
I guess that, and that's kind of maybe part of the humor of our generation. But I feel like I always liked maybe this is bad, but like at camp when I was a kid, like I always liked eviscerating someone and then having them, come back at me with something.
Really?
Yeah, big time.
Nah, man. I mean, back then it was the mama jokes, and we had a million mother jokes in our back pocket. It also led to a lot of fights. Oh my God. No, I don't think I could sit there. I don't know if I've got thick skin. I don't know if I've got thick enough skin to get eviscerated. No, man. And listen, these roasts, like I watched the Brady roast. I've seen clips of the Hart roast. I've got to watch. And Draymond's line about Chelsea Handler was good.
Yeah.
She was laughing too. It was a good one. I've got to, I do want to watch the whole thing, but I got to make sure the kid's asleep and it's filthy. I got to put it on at the right time. I got to find the time. But like some of the stuff, like when you get into, this is just where I get really uncomfortable. I don't find any humor in like anything that is Epstein laden.
Sure.
I can't hear it. And I could never deliver anything like that. Anything like Charlie Kirk, there was something that was just reprehensible, man. It just, whether or not you agreed with his politics or not, or what he would say, I can't, like, when human life is demeaned to the degree sometimes these roasts go, it's not a roast. It's uncomfortable. And I'm not even trying to get preachy, but I love a good roast, man. Like if you've been married 5 times, you want to fuck around and talk about it like that, or you got whatever.
You don't. I mean,
but like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, you and I definitely differ here. The joke line that I thought was maybe too crazy. I mean, we don't even have to. Did you hear the jokes about the comedian's husband who tragically passed away, quote unquote?
No,
they were like roasting a comedian's husband who.
A female comedian
whose husband took his own life like 3 years prior, and they were going at her, and I was like, "This is wild." And she was. I mean, granted, she was cracking up, she was rolling, but it was just insane, dude.
No, that's definitely not for me. That's. I mean, there's humor, and then
because that was the thing that for me, I was like, that's like a little too far because it's like the lady's there. I mean, I was like to me, I was like, the lady's literally right there. Like this is
I mean, here, listen, we're also not comedians.
And I think the Hollywood aspect of it changes everything. I think the fact that it's on camera changes your reactions and the perception to everything, where it's like, oh, this is the big blowout. It's not like, I'm going to take deep offense. You know what you're going for.
No, that's true. You're going in with a different mindset. I don't think I'm not built for that level of degrading. I think oh man, no, that's I don't want any part of that, Jay. I don't. So roasted. All right, man. Let me get bouncing out of here. So real quick, Aaron Boone, let's pop that up. If you can get that up once more there, J-Rod, for tomorrow. Yankees skip. Come on, Boone. You get a win tonight, buddy. I don't want to have to talk to you when you lose 5 or 6 in a row. Let's go. Hopefully the Yankees win today. Either way, Boone and the early state of the Yankees tomorrow on the show. It's going to be great at 10:30. And then give you guys a little heads up the day after that, the Jets Collective, as the NFL schedules will drop. That'll be right around 8:05. I know we'll have the schedules by 8, but Rich has to file something for ESPN. He's got to finish writing something. So maybe Jake and I will start early, and then Rich will come in, and then we'll go through all the games and, the primetime games and what we expect. I was reading something yesterday. The Jets are expected to have the 5th easiest schedule just based on strength of schedule. So, I mean, hey, that helps. So at least on paper, we're getting an easy schedule. But, when you're 5 miles behind the Pats and the Bills in your own division, it's really not easy no matter who you play. You can only play the Cardinals and the Browns and the Raiders so many times. I mean, eventually you're going to have to get better. And I think the Jets will be better this year, which is part of the reason why I am actually excited about the schedule drop. So that's coming up on Thursday. All right, Jay, have an absolutely outstanding rest of your Tuesday. I want everybody to check out the rest of the channel. By the way, like it, subscribe it. We've got a lot of stuff up there, whether it's old interviews. If you're new to the show, appreciate you guys hopping in. We'll get to 25,000 subs within, certainly by the end of the month, so we continue to grow. I've got a conference call today about some potential new business endeavors for the show. We didn't take any calls today, but we do. So that's just something. I just had a lot of things I had to get to, and I didn't. And I love the calls. I've always said that to me, that the show wasn't complete until I was able to interact with you guys, and you've been great on the phones. It was just a day I had a lot of things I had to roll through. So we'll get back to the calls tomorrow, although it'll be that'll be a little condensed as well because we'll have Boone. So what we'll do is I'll start the show, go from 10 to 10:30, and then probably react to the Yankees, react to the Mets a little bit there. And then I'll have Booney on, hopefully for a good, 45 minutes, maybe a little bit more. I've got to see a schedule. And then after that, we can obviously react to the calls and some of the stuff that he said. So that's coming up tomorrow. Check it out. Instagram, Twitter, and all that stuff, social media. Follow, like it, subscribe it, get that algorithm traction going. And I will catch you guys tomorrow at 10 right here on Unleash. Peace.
This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
With your host,